And we are live. Hey, everybody, it's Wednesday night. Patriot James here. I got Mr. Ethan in here going to co-host with me. Got Mark from Catfishing Crappie. Going to be a great show tonight. But before we get started, as always, God bless America. God bless you and your families. And we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal and endowed by their creator for certain unalienable rights. And among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Guys, before we get started, don't forget, Cap Centurion, if you can't make the tournament, please go on their website, make a donation to this. Without these guys and gals, we couldn't do what we do today and enjoy what we enjoy here in America. Ethan, thank you for coming in, co-hosting with me. Mark, appreciate you joining us tonight. It's going to be a fun show. Ethan's worked for a couple of weeks getting his papers ready and his questions ready. And Mark he's got a show on Monday night after Catfish Weekly. Make sure y'all go check it out, subscribe, check out the show. Great show. And he also co-hosts Panfish Nation or Panfish Weekly.
Panfish Nation. Panfish Nation.
And I don't know why I get them two confused. But
well, it's easy to get confused. In the beginning, we were Panfish Weekly, but then Lyle had some problems with having the emails sorted out. They're all coming, so he changed the name. So
gotcha. So him and Lyle does that on Thursday nights. Y'all guys check it out. And I miss it about once a month because I've got meetings on Thursday nights. So I apologize for that right now, Mark. I always go back and watch them, but I don't get to see them live. So let's give a few shout outs in here. I see the squirrel was in here first. Then Miss Jody Pontoon. Jody's in the house with us. Who else we see? There's Miss Stephanie Cluck. They are bobber people. Fishing and Freedom. I love that name. Who else we got? There's Mark's in the chat with us.
I am.
Freedom. Who else we got coming in here? They'll start dragging in here. We got most of the same crowd. There's Laughing Cat. If I miss a name, y'all guys holler it out because I want
to say shout out to Stilly over at Stilly Outdoors. He's a friend of mine. He popped in here. What's going on, Stilly? I see Fishing with Robbie. I see Maurice in there. We can't miss Maurice, right, James?
No, we sure can't. Maurice he's been a sponsor supporter of every one of us for years. I see Mr. Chad's in the house with us tonight. I'm sure he's going to be bombarding this.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. He follows me everywhere, James.
Fins and Fine. There's Miss Sandy Stokes. Miss Sandy, you got to have a talk. Mark, she's on a show the other night, and I'll have to give her a pass with that because it was all the ladies.
You better give her a pass because she'll come after you if you don't.
Yeah.
I think Miss Cindy Stokes does what she wants, and Lyle will attest to that.
Yeah. Well, she told me and Mr. Lyle, if she ever comes on the camera, our shows would be first, but I'll give her a pass because it was Miss D. And I think the world of all the ladies that was on there. It was a good show. I had to give them a hard time, sound like a bunch of cackling hens.
That's not a very wise thing to say. I highly recommend you learn not to say stuff like that.
Yeah, well, they all know I love them, and I'll just aggravate them. They was having fun. It was fun watching them. T-Med's in the house. I ain't seen old Mr. T-Med in a while. Fish and Fins and Fines. There's another one in there. What, Fish and Fines or something like that?
Yeah, that's no, it's Fins and Foul, but Fins and Fines is from the great state of Missouri. That's Bob. I got a chance to fish from over the summer. I'm sorry I didn't get to put him on a flathead. We had one good bite, but hopefully if he comes back through this way, we'll get him on a fish.
There's Catfish Fever and Outdoors.
That's Lynn. What's going on, Lynn?
There's Big Mike. So goes in the house with us. Air Run. See, you know all these people's names, and I don't. I just call them by their channel names. Muskrat.
Stephanie had a change of username, or she changed into Real Gals Fish.
Yep. She's got a set of floats. There's Big Mike. There's Keith DeBose. If I miss anybody, Asleep at the Reel. That's a cool name.
That's a great band too. Buck Williams in the house. K&B's in the house. We got Lance McCouguy. What's going on, Lance?
There's my buddy Mike Yelton. I've known him about all my life. Me and him fought fire together in the fire department. Good people. Who else? He just lost his brother last year to the COVID.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Corn Fed Experience. That's a cool name.
Buck Williams, I think I got him.
There's Miss Chrissy Brown. Nice lady. Philip Williams. There's Ken Kinnemer. Ken, give me a call tomorrow, my friend. I still got a set of floats for you, Ken. Plus, I need to talk to you and see if you're going to come fish the tournament. You going to be able to make it down, Mark?
I'm going to try, James. I can't. Here's a little backstory since it came up. One of my reasons for getting into YouTube is when I first started getting in or thinking about getting into YouTube, it was to fish your tournament because it was only YouTubers that were doing it back in the day. So that's kind of how I even started considering getting on here and doing all this stuff. So these people have all you to blame for that. So any complaints, go over to James's About page and hit him up on the email and tell him what you think about how he could have avoided it.
Well, Mark, I've heard that from a lot of people, and that's why I do this every Wednesday night. That's why I do what I do. When you think, oh, dang, man, I've been doing this a long time. How much longer am I going to do it? Then I get comments like that right there. And I thought, that's why I do it. That's why I do it. There's Mr. Freddie Bex in here, my gold mining buddy. Now my catfishing and gold mining buddy. He's the bugs done beat him harder than Jacob in the house. Who else? Oh, he doesn't send you some, did he?
It's mine. Don't even think about it, people.
We'll go get you on now. It's time to learn how to get you some.
Maybe. There's
Mr. K&B Anglers in the house. He's getting ready to have a tournament too.
He is. I saw his post on Facebook.
Yep. I think it's going to be good. I'm going to try my dangest to make it down there to it. Buck Williams is in the house. I think I'm about called up. My dadgum chat for some reason is Broken Road, Kennels, Buck Williams,
I see
Pappy.
Angie Proctor's in there. Do we know who Angie is? Ethan? Gotta say hello to Mom, right? Is it your mom? It's your mom. Say hello, Mom.
Grandma.
Say hi, Mom. There you go. I see a Broken Boat Kennels.
That's right there.
Okay, Broken Road Kennels. What's going on? How you doing?
Yeah.
Seen a lot of names that I'm not familiar with.
There's Team Wampus Cats in the house with us tonight. I knew he'd be watching. Gavin's probably watching with him. You remember Mr. Gavin in here with you last time, Ethan. He's looking forward to doing some more shows. I'm going to let him co-host one night with me. I'm lining up Mr. Michael Murphy, one of my most requested guests coming on, but he become a traveling nurse. So it's hard to get his schedule where we can get him in here again, but I'm going to let him co-host for that show. But anyway, so let's start this out. Mark, thank you again for coming in here. Ethan, thank you for co-hosting. I know you got some questions ready. But Mark, before we get too far, how's your show going so far?
Pretty good. It's going every week. We had a really good show last Monday. I had Christina Lemke from the great state of Minnesota, an angler that really gets on the catfish up there. She gets on the panfish. She's great. She's even a sturgeon fisherman on the ice. She does a lot of that, and all of it's from the bank. And she's a lady angler, and she definitely has a part in the conservation efforts in the state of Minnesota. She's very well-rounded angler, and it was a really good show. I had a great time getting to meet her. So if you guys have a chance, check her out, whether it's on my show or whether it's on social media. The links are in the description. I highly recommend that you give her some attention because she's definitely one to watch.
Right. If any of my mods is in here, say I can't see it when I use this StreamYard. Who's my mods in here? If you can, start putting up some links if you don't mind, and we'll appreciate it. And Panfish Weekly is coming along good too.
We're growing slowly but surely. The thing I like to say about Panfish Nation is that the people that are subscribers and the ones that watch every week are diehards, man. And I'd rather have my audience. I'd rather have, the few that we have right now, which is growing every week. I think we're up to like 700 or so, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that. Of diehards than 7,000 who aren't.
Yeah, you got that right. There's Mr. Justin Fishing Fetish. There's Dale Hayslip. He's been coming in there a lot. He's been in here for a while. Billy Martin. But that guy I mentioned a little while ago, Mike Yelton, we're working on getting me back into one of the ponds that he used to live by. And Mark, if he gets me back in that pond, I'm gonna be hurting some feelings with y'all pan fishermen.
Bring it. I love to see it, man. This is the thing I like to see.
I'm talking about bluegill like this. One fish will fill up a plate.
You know, do me a favor. When you get on those fish, you send those pictures over to Lyle Stokes.
I will.
With like laugh emojis next to it and say, look what I caught, not you.
Now, that's if we can get back in there, because it was sold to a couple other different people, and he's trying. Yeah, he said, yeah, big ones. I'm telling you, these are big fish, big bluegill. Hey, Mark, they'll be that thick across the back.
That's crazy.
Yeah, big. Oh, I'm talking about 2, and I've seen a 3-pounder come out of there.
Woo.
Yeah, so fun days, fun days. All right, guys. Ethan, I know you've been sitting there nice and quiet and everything, but son, let's hit him up. He does some ice fishing too, so what's some of the questions?
All right. What type of fish do you catch when you're ice fishing?
Oh, mostly panfish as of now. Sometimes we'll get on the channel cats on the ice if we got the automatic fishermen set up. I'll bother setting them up when I'm on a longer trip, but mostly panfish, bass, crappie. Every now and then you get lucky and get a walleye, stuff like that. But other than that, and I've said this time and time again, and I saw Stilly was in there. He knows Ryan as well. Ryan always says, you know, I hate ice fishing, but I love to fish, so I ice fish. I told you guys that before the show, and it's pretty true. It gets pretty cold and lonely out there and windy, and I'm going to shed a tear here thinking about I miss open water. Holy smokes.
Mark, Wombus Cat wants to know what's your biggest crappie and bluegill.
My biggest, okay. Now here, that's kind of tricky. I reset my PB when I was a young man, probably about your age, Ethan. I'd caught like a 2-pound, 4-ounce crappie. That was a long time ago. I can barely remember that far back. I'm so old, young man.
That's a good crappie.
So what I decided this year is I'm going to reset that PB and start from scratch. So I would call it maybe a pound right around now. I actually just ordered a new Rapala scale that's a little more sensitive, so I can get a better idea of tenth of a pound rather than pounds like you worry about more with catfish. But that's basically where we're starting with that. Now for bluegill, I catch so much bluegill for bait. If I get a big bull bluegill, a big male, I'm always throwing them back. I don't usually have time to measure them unless I got something. I got like 2x hands. If it fills my hand, it's a good bluegill.
Oh yeah.
When I measure my crappie, from tip of my thumb to my pinky, that's 9 inches right there, because we have a 9-inch limit on the one spot that I fish at. So I've caught plenty of 9-inch bluegill. So
that's good. That's a good bluegill right there. That's a good. We've had Bullock Experience coming here, Jesse O'Neill. We got all kind of good people coming in. Don't want to miss nobody. If we do miss you, Carolina Catfish, he's going to be another one of the big sponsors of the tournament that's coming up in April. Running late, fishing's in here. We got all kind of good people in here. Appreciate everybody coming in. Don't forget, share the bait, share the love. Got new channels in here. Check them out. Share it up. All right, Ethan, take off.
All right. Do you prefer anchor or dragging when you're catfishing?
You know what? I hate anchoring, and I'm starting to really get fond of dragging baits. I'm not going to lie. I'm even fortunate enough to where I fish is real shallow, so anchoring isn't all that difficult. My boat's a little on the tippy side, so it's kind of a pain in the butt. It's small, so it's tight, so anchoring kind of a pain. I have a feeling if I got a buddy, Brandon Ishkar, who did really well in Bama Blues this year. I think he finished 4. He's got a real nice G-Arc with dual shallow water anchors on the back. If I had that set up, I'd be a different story about anchoring, but dragging baits is the good. I just started dragging baits maybe in the last year and a half, in the last 2 years. And I'll tell you what, I can't think of a better way to locate fish. I doubled my honey holes doing that. So.
But what about locating them flatheads?
I'm catching them there. Flatheads are a different story.
Yeah.
Flatheads, I target, more pinpoint during the day, brush pile structure, stuff like that, using tactics like floats, like your floats, James. I use them quite a bit when I'm trying to get baits into log piles and stuff. I don't want to say log jams because there's nothing like that up here.
Right.
But at night I'm fishing a little different. I'm looking for where they're feeding, where they're going to feed, and so on. So yeah, I've caught flatheads while dragging. I've caught quite a bit, but no big ones, no real big ones yet.
Yeah.
Out of the fish you have caught, what would be your personal best?
My 58-pound flathead I caught.
Dang right.
That's near and dear to my heart. I was pretty shocked when I got it on the scale. Real quick backstory. I was up for like 24 hours working, and I was all wired because it was really busy from working. My mind was going 100 miles an hour. I'm like, well, why don't you go fishing? 1 in the morning, I'm hooking my boat out. I'm heading out to the river, and I'm grateful that I did, because 2 hours after that, I was literally out there for 20 minutes, and I hooked into that fish. And to be honest with you, until I got him next to the boat, I had no idea what I had on the other end of that hook. It was really a surreal experience. And I think it was a combination of exhaustion and how dark it was where I was fishing and trying to get the video done, which I happened to do. And to make a long story short, I got that fish in the boat and got it on the scale. I was like, what in tarnation? I felt guilty, Ethan. I got it on there and it was swinging up into the 60s on my scale. I'm like, no way. No one is going to believe me. That's the first thing that came into my head. No one's going to believe me. So I went with the lowest weight that was on the scale, which was 57 pounds, 12 ounces. So chunky style, I'll call it 58 pounds all day. We'll go there, and I'm comfortable with that. I actually, listen to this too, Ethan. When I got home the next day, I went downstairs, grabbed me a 10-pound dumbbell like I do every year to make sure my scales are on, because nobody wants to be called a liar, right?
Right.
Who wants to be called a liar? Yeah. You want to tell them to bug off when they try to call you off on that. And the scale was on. It took me all weekend to make the video, and I was going back and forth. And right before the video went up, I put my catfish sticker on my boat that said the 50-pound club, and I released the video, and the rest is history.
There you go. Let's see, Palmetto come in the house. Miss D's in the house. And
what's up, D?
No, Chad, it is a flathead, not a shovel head. Shovels are
Let's ask Ethan. Ethan, is it a flathead or a shovel head?
Flathead.
There you go, attaboy.
Is it a crappie or a crappie?
Cropping.
Well, there you go.
Oh, that surprised me.
I call them fillets. To be honest with you,
delicious. I call them delicious.
I wish I could use the heads for bait here in Illinois, but I can't. That would be awesome.
They can in South Carolina, but we can in North Carolina, and I love to use them.
I can under certain situations. If it's on a body of water where there's no creel or size limit, then you can use the parts of them, but they got to be caught in that body of water. So.
Oh yeah. There's Junior Warskow's in the house with us tonight. Central Valley Adventures. Go ahead, Ethan.
All right. What type of line do you use?
I love braid. We're going to get a lot of heat in the chat for this. I do like braid. Do you want to know why I like braid?
Why?
All right. I was at Bass Pro Shops. I was a mono guy for the longest time, running 20-pound mono for all my catfishing. But that was before I started chasing flatheads as much as I have in the past few years. And I'd come across, you guys are going to think I'm crazy, a professional bass fisherman working behind the counter over at Bass Pro here in Gurnee, Illinois. And he's like, you ever try this Suffix 832? I'm like, no, I've never tried it. I'm a mono guy. He's like, try it. You'll be happy. I'm like, all right, give me a spool of 65 pound. He says, if you don't like it, come back here, look for me. He gave me his card. I'll give you your money back. Turns out he was a Suffix sponsored angler. So he was pushing it. But I started using that and the coating on that. I've never, ever had, and I'm going to tell you guys this, I've never had braid cut on me during a fight. Not the Suffix 832. I use a mono leader. I use a 50-pound leader, 65-pound main line. So my leader is usually the first thing to break when you're fishing structure and you want to get that lead back. That's the way to do it as far as I'm concerned. I've never had a problem. I fished in a couple rocky spots and stuff, but that Suffix 32 just has that coating on there. It must do something. Now, mind you, I'll retie my knots quite a bit when I'm feeling, when I need that extra sense of security. So take that for what it's worth, people in chat. That's just how I fish. And I use the braid because I'm fishing the shallow waters of the Fox. I like to keep that fish out from under the boat because I have an aluminum boat with a lot of rivets, and I don't care if you're using mono or braid. You get it wrapped around a rivet on the bottom of your boat, you're going to have trouble. So
Mr. Big Nasty, Big Bill's Veterans Catfishing, Outdoors Addiction. Appreciate y'all coming in. There's Mr. Panfish Nation in here.
I want to thank Lyle for recommending I get on this show today. Lyle, you're awesome, buddy. Thank you for helping me out. I'm honored to finally be on Patriot Catfishers of America.
Well, I'm honored having you on here. And truthfully, Mark, after almost 4 years, you about forget who all you've had on. Well, I'm going to say 3 years because the first year I never brought no guest on. And then I learned how to use Google Hangouts, which was a pain in the tail. But yeah. But it's been an honor having everybody on here. It really has. That's why we keep doing it. But I want to ask you a question, Mark.
Shoot.
You've been doing it, but what really got you started chasing the big catfish?
A picture. I can tell you right now, there's a young man. When I say young, at the time, he was 20 years old. I was fishing for channel cats at the dam here in Algonquin, Illinois. And I was using chicken livers and worms and stuff. I had my wife with me and my niece and my little dachshund who used to come fishing with us quite a bit. And I met Alex out there, Alex Serafin. And Serafin is Italian for angel, if you didn't know that.
Right.
So he was pretty much like my catfish angel or the devil. I haven't decided which one he is yet. He showed me a picture like a 25-pound flathead that he caught right down the river a little ways. And I'm like, what in tarnation is that? I've fished that river for a long time. I didn't really realize they were there. He showed me that picture, and a year later I got my first one. It took me a year to get onto that first one, but I thank him for the obsession, and that's how I got involved in chasing flatheads.
Yeah, Mr. Big Nasty's in the house with us tonight. He's sponsoring. Justin is sponsoring the trophy, the Twerking Monkey Trophy, and the Big Nasty is actually sponsoring the Big Fish Trophy. It's going to be the Big Nasty Big Fish Trophy. So appreciate that, guys. Go ahead, Ethan. I gotta answer this phone call. You run with some questions. I'll be right back, guys.
Yeah, we don't need him, Ethan. We got this, buddy.
When you're catfishing, what bait do you prefer? Like your main bait that you prefer?
That's kind of a hard question. My favorite bait. The bait I get excited about using are bullheads, medium to big size bullheads. You can't beat a green sunfish here. You cannot. I'm getting really fond of baby carp. I'm talking live fishing. As far as and you can't beat, if you can keep a shad alive here, it's like pulling that handle on a slot machine. If there's a fish there and you got a live shad on the end of that hook, they're going to come looking for it. They'll come out looking for it. But I don't have any luck keeping shad alive. I don't have the wherewithal or the room in my boat to have an $800, bait tank sitting up in the front yet. That could change someday. But those are my favorite baits. In the spring, I like using suckers if I can get them. They're awfully expensive here. I like candy bar size baits, especially for flatheads. I'll use cut sucker. I'll get them actually from when I go down to the bait shop, I'll actually buy some of the suckers that die. The guy freezes them. He sells them to me for next to nothing. They're great channel cat bait. Dragon baits, I like baits with tough skins so they don't come off the hooks. I don't think shad's akin for dragon baits, definitely, but a good chunk of bluegill. Here's a quick tip for those you guys dragging for channel cats. Is split that bluegill head in half, right at the mouth, all the way back. For some reason, they go crazy when you split that and get through that brains. I don't know what it is, but it performs way better than just the whole head. I don't know if it's the size or not, but you catfish with your dad. Catfish don't really care about the size of the bait. You'd be surprised what a little fish can get. So I don't really think that is. I think it's the central that split head leaves behind it. I also have good luck with bluegill tails. A lot of people badmouth them, but as long as you trim them up so they're not spinning like crazy behind the boat when you're dragging, I think they do pretty good. Now I always cut them when I cut my bait up. I cut it in. I make sure that the flute. I don't know how, or the exhaust port on the bait fish is on the tail side that I plan on using. I think that adds a little extra scent too. So I don't know if that's what does it, but in my head, it's the way to do it. Yeah, I never do any good with cut bullhead. Never, ever. I never do any good with drum. I've yet to catch a fish on drum, cut, or live. Those are my favorite baits. Worms are the best bait ever known to man, I think, to be honest with you. Put a worm on a J hook, you're bound to get some channel cat action and a bunch of other stuff. Junior says, Shad, 12 to 14 inches long. We don't have them that big. I'm happy to I'll get a couple of 8 inches a year, and I'm excited. I'll use those for cut bait when I'm chasing flatheads. But normal, they're between 4 and 7 inches around here. So.
What type of rods do you prefer?
Uncle Lou's rods for my I've been using the heck out of Uncle Lou's, definitely. For catfish, medium heavies I'm growing very fond of. I got a couple of older rods from a company that's gone out of business, so there's no need to mention those names, but those have a near and dear place in my heart just because they don't even have a weight rating on them, and they don't have an action rating on them, but they seem to work for me. I have no complaints. I've been using Whisker Seeker products forever. I have no complaints from them. As far as like the crappie stuff, I'm in the process of changing rod manufacturers right now. So I've been informed by some people that I trust about some issues that come up with these rods that I've come across and just kind of thought of it as, nature of the beast, but it turns out that it's not. So we're going to try a couple other ones. And of course, my favorite rods are Black Horse Custom and Krampus canes. Those trump everything.
Well, I haven't got to try none of the Krampus canes.
Neither have I. We're waiting on some. And Doctor has them.
Yeah. He must be the special son.
He is. Special needs son. No offense to anybody.
All of them's good people in here. Now one was Cat. He bought us some flatheads one time down there at Wiley, and they used to not flatheads, but bullheads. Lively bait, bleed like crazy. We never got a hit on them.
I like them because I'm a firm believer that fish are more their lateral lines tune them into movement more than scent, to be honest with you. I mean, everybody says that a catfish's whiskers, their whole body is a scent gland, and I don't doubt that, but I definitely have done better concentrating on vibration and movement of a bait, to the point of where I've had a couple of times where I've gotten on the channel cats. I'm talking about 20 channel cats, one right after another within an hour, and then the bite cuts off and boom, 30-pound flathead. So that tells me that it's happened a few times, more than once, definitely, that they tune into that feeding action, that frenzy. They act like a very curious animal. They'll come to see what's going on, and they'll be very opportunistic when they get charged up, and that's when you do well with cut bait with flatheads.
Well, and they're a predator, so they're going to hone in on feeding.
They are the predator in our river system. We got big muskie here. We got pike and stuff, and they got nothing to it. A flathead to me is they say muskie's a fish of 10,000 casts. I think, a flathead is like a muskie, only better because you got to put your back into it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Now, Ethan, he's put his back into a fish that I don't think I've never caught nothing that big. I've never seen one that big except in pictures. And I don't know about your biggest blue, Mark, but
8 pounds, buddy. Look out. My biggest blue is 8 pounds.
His is 82 pounds.
Holy smokes. That's pretty impressive. We got no blues up here, Ethan, so don't think I'm a bad fisherman. We ain't got no blues up here. I had to travel all the way to Ohio to get that 8 pounds, and I'm proud of it.
There you go.
But 82 pounds is a monster, man. Congratulations, bud.
But let me reaffirm what we just talked about. What Mark just said. There's no blues in his waters, so he has to travel to them. But if your waters is the biggest blue is 50 pounds and you catching 30s and 40s, you're catching monster fish. I don't care what anybody says, that is monster fish, period. So don't ever knock yourself and feel bad that you ain't catching those 80 pounders. You got to be in the waters that produces those fish. But if you're catching the upper 10% of the size of the waters that you're fishing, pat yourself on the back. You're doing great.
Yeah, that, and you know what? Every now and then you get a freak of nature, like that big flathead I caught here on the 40-pound flathead on a fox is a monster. Everybody's trying to get into the 40s, right?
Right.
That one I caught was an exception. It was a freak of nature, maybe. It was one that's gotten lucky. I have a couple of friends here that have gotten into the high 50s, mid 50s, and that was 14 years ago. They've been trying to beat those PBs on that river ever since.
I'll be dang. All right, Ethan, I know you got a bunch more questions, so go ahead, son.
What type of reels?
Abu Garcia for life. Holler at your boy. Abu Garcia's and bacon. That's how I roll.
Yep.
There's a lot of good reels out there. I like some pens. As far as crappie fishing, I overkill. I got some Shimano Stratics on my crappie reels, which there's no excuse for. And if my wife would realize that, I'd be in a heck of a lot of trouble. There's no reason why you can't use like an Okuma reel for a crappie rod, or at the top end of Presidential. I know Daiwa's got a couple of good reels out there at the $50 price point, which will do you just fine. There's no reason for a $200 Stratic on a crappie rod, unless you're doing a lot of casting, which I do for crappie. Just how I fish. I'm terrible at boat control with my trolling motor. I'd rather cast to them than blow them off a brush pile. So that's basically what I stick with.
Ethan, y'all catch a good bit of crappie too, don't you?
I do all right. I don't do like James Dockery. Again, it's where you're at. I could always be a better crappie fisherman, and I'm going to work on that definitely this year. I'm going to do. I'm going to try out dock shooting. I'm going to try out a couple other tactics, some more vertical jig fishing for them. I'm going to work on my boat control with that Altera trolling motor. After talking in SK's Crappie Catching Adventures, who's live. Let's give him a plug real quick. His will be at 9:00 Central Standard Time tonight. Check him out. The man's a plethora of knowledge. If you have any interest in crappie fishing, he's a really good resource. Right. But we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to him. I got a taste for. I have a rule here now. I'm a responsible harvest kind of guy. Yep. I always keep 2 pounds of catfish fillets and 2 pounds of crappie fillets in my freezer. That's kind of, I try not to have any more than that in the freezer. It also gives me a reason to get out and fish. I'm all out of crappie fillets, so I need to get out there and get some crappie.
Right. Now, Ethan, you catch crappie, and plus y'all catch a lot of white perch, don't you?
Yes, sir.
What do you like to eat? Do you eat fish, Ethan?
We keep some catfish every now and then.
Yeah. How do you like it?
Pretty good.
when I was your age, I hated fish. I'm not even going to lie. My mom would be lucky if she got me to eat a fish stick back in the day.
But now, Mark, do y'all have the white perch out there in your area?
We don't have white perch. We have yellow perch on some of the bigger bodies of water. And if you're catching them, anything south of, let's say, Racine, Wisconsin, they're going to be few and far between unless you're out on Lake Michigan. And north of there, they start to get bigger and more plentiful. We have white bass. Sometimes you'll come across like a wiper that's found its way into the waters.
Right.
Other than that, that's another thing. I'm going to try them white bass for flathead bait this year. I hear they're really good. That's on my list to do.
So we lost all of when the white perch took over Lake Wiley, the white bass got gone. But Ethan can tell you, ain't nothing like going out there and getting on them school of white perch, are they? It's just fun.
Stop. To see, that's what spring crappie fishing's like over here. You get on the flats where they're out there feeding for that, those first couple of meals of minnows, because they've been feeding on insects and smaller prey during the whole winter and the cold. cold season. That ice melts. You get a couple of days of sunshine, and the feed is on. I mean, I'm catching them with 3 and 4 inch shad in their bellies when I go to fillet them. It's crazy that an 11-inch crop you'll eat that big of feeder fish, but they do.
Yeah, but I'm gonna tell you, Mark.
Getting close to March, right? Or April. That's what I'm looking for.
Ethan will tell you though, there ain't nothing like throwing a 6-hook sabiki out there, dropping it down, and then turn right around in 30 seconds, pull it back up, and be 6 fish on that one daggum line.
We have a 2-hook limit here in Illinois, so I wish I knew what that was like.
It's fun, ain't it, Ethan?
It is.
I've never caught skipjack either. That's on my to-do list.
There you go.
I hear that's a blast and a half.
Yep. White perch is fun. It's fun. You know, like Ethan can tell you, you can take a bunch of young men out there, young girls, it don't matter. Put them out on the boat, Mark, and you can find a giant school of those white perch, and y'all can just have a blast. Just have fun.
I need to give Betty a shout out. What's up, sister? How you doing?
Betty, yeah.
I want to also say hello to Alyssa because I know she's listening over at the Fields house. What's going on, Alyssa? And I know Katie's sitting there with Dockery, and Dockery's writing down all sorts of stuff to yell at me about after the show. So I want to see him say hello to James. Subscribe to James Dockery Fishing, everybody.
Yep. Y'all check each other out in here. There's a lot of great channels in here. I
always wanted to say this with you, James. Share the bait.
Yep. Share the love, share the bait.
That's right.
Yep. Go ahead, Ethan. I know you got some good ones. There's Jeremy Coven in the house with us tonight.
He whooped me in Chad's panfish tournament too. He's another one that whooped me. Anyways, go on.
How many rods do you use when you're dragging?
All right. Now here's it. It's water specific. If there's always a caveat with me. Let's say I'm fishing on the river. If I got 2 of my poles marked as bank poles with my name and phone number on them here in Illinois, I can use them like bank poles. So I can use 4 poles, or that's as many as I use because I only have 4 rod holders on the back of my little boat. So that I'll use that. 3 you can use if you're moving without doing that in Illinois when you're technically trolling. But anything after that, you got to label as a bank line. And it also depends on the DNR officer on whether or not he wants to give you the business about that. And that's a decision that everybody needs to make. So here in Illinois, we have a 2-pole rule. You can't, like in Iowa, I believe you can pay $4 to have an extra pole. You can't do that here. So it is what it is. There's even one spot on the Fox River that goes right by a forest preserve where they technically say you can only have 1 line, 1 rod. Yeah, it's about a 1/4 mile of span on the river, and they claim you can only have 1. Now, I need to look at the rules a little closer. It could be just a bank rule. I don't know how that applies to being, let's say, on a boat on the river, but it is what it is. I get by there pretty quick.
We're pretty lucky out here in the Carolinas, ain't we, Ethan? We can load that boat down.
Oh, and I've seen Junior do that pretty darn good. I ain't gonna lie.
He's the only person I know can pull 5 planer boards on each side of the boat, plus bobbers out the back and 2 rods straight down. He's the only person I know that can do that.
What type of hooks do you use?
I use Big River J hooks when I'm using floats. I'll use a knocker rig under a float. Love doing that. Some beads above the weight just to keep that 1 to 3 ounce egg sinker off of the hook. But those Big Rivers have treated me well. I know people have complained in the past about them breaking in and stuff, and I've talked to numerous people, and I think that might have just been a batch of them that went out, but that's another story. As far as circle hooks go, I like mustads, the Demon Wire ones, because they're thin. I feel that my live bait lives longer with them. And I've also started using, per Lyle Stokes' recommendation, the Eagle Claw L 197s, because he says they're made here in the United States. And man, that barb on there does not give up. And I'll tell you what, every now and then you'll get a real light flathead bite on them, but not much. I think for some reason that barb is big enough that when it stings them fish, they go crazy. It's changed. Those hooks have changed the way those flatheads bite, man. You can pretty much hear them yelling, yikes, when they get stung with that hook. I don't know what it is. It's just my experience. But those are the hooks that I pretty much use, and I got every hook known to man. I got a box literally of probably 1,000 hooks that I have in the garage that I use for backups and stuff, and none of them are bad, but I'm pretty darn picky about my gear and tackle. So,
yeah.
What size hooks do you use?
8/0 generally. I use 5s for channel cats when I'm fishing my smaller channel cat spots. When I'm dragging baits, I've always had this rule. When I'm dragging baits, I'll use 8s or 5s. I always match the size of hook to the size of bait. Like I said, a 40-pound flathead's considered a beast here. I've caught, up near 40 pounds because I got 10s, 20s, 30s. I'm missing a 40 class fish. I got my 50 class. So 40's been like my nemesis. I haven't caught a 30 where a 5/0 didn't get past his pad, because that's what you're looking at is gap for both bait and the pad, or the actual jaw line on a flathead. I've always matched the size of my hook to the size of my bait. You don't want to let that hook get buried in your bait, because you're going to lose every time.
What species do you like better?
Do I got to pick? Flatheads, man, they're that's my fever right there. I love catching channel cats. I love them to death.
Yeah.
I love going after even salmon here. I don't get a chance to do that often because the king salmon only come to the bank in the early and middle fall. Before they turn to zombies. That's another story. Salmon are probably pound for pound one of the harder fighting fish, but flathead are probably my favorite to chase. I lay up at night thinking about new places to fish for them. I really do. Crappie fishing I do love, but they're not flatheads, man.
What do you think it is about the flathead? The hunt?
Yeah, it's hard, man. Anything easy, anything that's easy fishing, makes for non-fulfilling fishing. You need purpose in life and purpose in fishing. We had this talk before. I'm a firm believer that the key to happiness is purpose and love and purpose. And my purpose is catching flatheads when I'm out there fishing for the most part. So I love to catch them. So there you go. Makes me happy.
Do you prefer Lawrence or Garmin?
Garmin. That's that's basically the only one I've used. I've been on the boats with the crosses, and Brandon's a big user of Lawrence. And I'm not going to lie, that side imaging compared to my older Garmin was really, really impressive. I have my friend Violet Talley, who's been on my show a few times. Great professional bass angler. I do a lot of ice fishing with her. We chase, I'm going to put her on a bullhead this year. On a flathead this year, James, definitely. Cool. See if we can change her mind. But, she's a Lawrence sponsored angler. She just got her boat back from Alumacraft. She's a sponsor by then. They wanted to have it at some shows, and they set her up with the full live imaging on her boat too. So we're going to get out there this spring and give that a test. But I got my eye on I want to be like my little brother Chad and get that 12-inch Garmin on the helm, and then I want at least a 1022 in front for live scope. We'll see. That's an awful lot of electronics to put on my little boat, but I don't care. I want it.
Yeah. We use both Lawrence and Garmin. So,
which one do you like?
I prefer the Garmin.
You do? You can't beat side imaging on Humminbird. They all have their strong points. They really do. That Humminbird side imaging, but you're paying for it. I mean, if you're looking at a larger unit, you're looking at $500 more on average than the competitors. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that image is breathtaking.
Yeah. It's amazing how far they've come.
Shallow water or deep water?
All I know is shallow. You know what? I was thinking about this. I knew you guys were going to ask this question. I really did. I was actually out in the truck running out to get some tacos. I'm like, how do I answer this question? And they obviously with the truth, but I was thinking about how would I fish deep water? And I bet you I would fish like the bottom 10 feet of it, because that's what I'm used to. I would treat that bottom 10-foot water column like it was my river and see how productive that would be. Any of you deep water fishermen in chat, let me know if I'm thinking about it the right way or if I need to change what I'm doing. But we'll see. We're going to get on some new waters. Hopefully, I'm going to get on that Missouri River or the Mississippi River with Lyle this spring. See if I can't drag him out on the water, and hopefully he'll show me a little bit about that and bumping. But yeah, I'd be lost in real deep water. I really would. I dragged the heck out of some baits though till I found them. To be honest with you.
But Mark, you're a river fisherman. Guess what? The lakes have rivers in them.
Yeah,
river channels.
It's not the same.
Basically, you treat it the same way.
I can read a river. I can read a river. I got in this argument with a couple of guys at the bar that I used to hang out at once in a great while, and they're big lake fishermen. And we got in this argument: what's better, lake or rivers? And they tried using the whole thing that there are definitely river channels, and especially if you're in a reservoir, there's going to be.
Right.
They'll be there. There's always a channel in there, but you can't read it like you can read a river. No. You really can't, and the water doesn't come up and down as fast as river. And it's just what I'm used to. I grew up fishing the Tippecanoe River. My parents had a little shack. They called it their cottage, but it was literally a cinder block shack with a roof and a bathroom in it. And I adored that place. And that was shallow water. I was fishing 4 to 10 feet on average there too, chasing channel cats and wipers down there in central Indiana. It's what I'm used to. Shallow water rivers is what I know. It's what I have until opportunities open themselves. Like when I went fishing with the Crosses, we did a lot of lake fishing. We did get on the Ohio, but when I'm a guest on somebody else's boat, I don't tell them how to fish. I let them tell me how to fish and try to learn from it. So if I get an opportunity to get on a lake with lake fishermen, I'm going to, shut my mouth and open my ears and try to learn everything I can. But yeah, I have nothing against lakes. I just know rivers.
Right.
What type of boards do you use?
I use a pair of your father's and I use a pair of Uncle Lou's. I got 2 of them. I also got this other set. I forget what it is, but the only reason why I bought those was for a video, which I'm going to let out, and they got some built-in lights on them. And I've have your father's and Uncle Lou's. I love those boards to death. They
grandfather
reason. Yep, there we go. Oh, that's your grandpa? I'm sorry. Yeah. Your grandfather's. My bad. Sorry about that, Junior. Junior just looks so young, man. That's all.
Especially tonight, he done shaved all them old whiskers off his face.
Well, yeah, those are the boards I use. I need to get a set of I want to try a set of offshores for crappies. They sell the little crappie ones. I haven't gotten around to it yet.
I like Junior's boards because it don't take much. Especially if you're going to pull boards in the wintertime, it don't take a whole lot of speed, and them boards will start going right on out.
Absolutely. I learned using Junior's boards. Those were the first ones I've gotten. So
I hear
you. What speed do you prefer to drag at?
Slower the better.
So,
yeah, I'm fishing in a river, so you got to magnify the current speed with your actual speed, especially if you're. I haven't tried drifting downstream yet. I don't see how you could troll. I don't see how you could drag baits going downriver. Upriver, I drag them, and I try to keep it right at like 1/3 of a mile an hour. It's hard to get it any slower like that because, like I said, I got a small boat with a big Altera 70-pound thrust trolling motor. So, yeah, I'm in number 1, and I'm keeping that boat straight, and it's staying at 0.3 miles an hour. I'll throw a drift sock out every now and then, depending on the wind and stuff. But the less I need to do to get ready to fish, the happier I am. So I try to keep it simple.
What structure do you like better?
Wood. I fish all okay. That's a lie. At night, I like rock piles in the river. I got a couple rock piles that I fish quite often. One is where I got my PB flathead, and I've gotten a lot of flatheads on that rock pile, and I'll go to my grave without telling anybody where that is. During the day, I like wood because it's visible above the water. For the most part, it's a good way of getting off the main channel in the river and out of boat traffic. So that's for flatheads and catfish, by the way.
Right.
Do you use bobbers while you're dragging?
For dragon, I have not. I've seen your grandpa do it, and it's a heck of a technique, I imagine. But like I says, we're averaging 5 feet of depth here. It would be hard to do that. I can get that bait suspended using like a demon type dragon, which I just got a whole bunch from Uncle Lou's. I got the Uncle Lou floats. I can get them there if I'm not, leash fishing underneath a float. And I'm dragging baits, I'll just make up for it that way. I'll adjust with whatever weights I'm using and the float I'm using and length of leader. So, and size of bait, obviously.
What style of rig do you use?
I'm a Carolina rig. I love my Carolina rigs. I'll use a Kentucky rig when I'm fishing for channel cats, especially in colder water, just to get more scent out. Smaller pieces of bait, more surface area equals more scent. And I know I said that fish tune more into movement, but when you're fishing for channel cats, cut bait doesn't move too much, so you got to rely on scent that way. I'll use it for that. When I'm fishing with bullheads, I've been playing around with a Santee Cooper rig just so I can keep that bait up off the bottom if I'm not using a float to get them into those tight spots. So I use them all, but I'm basically Carolina. I use Carolina rigs for a lot of fishing. I use them for trout. I use them for even burbot. I use Carolina rig. I've been using them for some panfish when I'm going after them in the bottom. So Carolina rig wins.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been around a long time, and it's a stayed true technique, and it is. You can use it so much. I mean, for years bass fishing, that was one of my favorite setups. Was the Carolina rig with about a 4-foot leader dragging them off of deep humps for them largemouth. And
that's okay, James. You said bass fishing, but I still like you. I'll forgive you.
Hey, I've done that. Hey, I still like bass
I'm
fishing.
just giving you a hard time. One of my best friends that I fish with is a bass fisherman.
See, I like the bass fish, so I got big baits.
I can't use them here. Plus, I get strange days up here.
What would you tell people that are just getting into catfishing?
Don't give up. Be tenacious. It's all about the grind, man. Read everything you can, soak in all the information. Don't be afraid to learn from people older and younger than you. So I've learned a lot of fishing from not just the old timers, not just from people in my family. The young guns out there teach me something too. Keep an open mind. Keep your eyes open and keep your ears open. None of that stuff's going to hurt you. If you want to use chicken to go out there and get a taste of what catching the fish is, go ahead and do it. I talk a lot of smack about it, but I don't really care what you use. I don't use it just to give people a hard time, to be honest with you. I'm trolling them. But if I couldn't get on some bait and I really wanted to go fishing, I've been known to use stink bait for Jiminy Christmas. What makes these guys think I won't use chicken?
Yeah. Stink bait for channel cats is killer in the summer.
Oh, yeah. Whole fryers, it works great.
You need that warm water to get that bait to start releasing, that stink to start releasing. I never had much luck with that old stink bait during the winter times, but summer times. And Mark, the blood bait, Catfish Charlie. You ever heard of the Catfish Charlie stink bait?
I have, actually.
The yellow perch love it.
Really?
We used to catch as many yellow perch as we did channel cats on Wiley back when we had a ton of them in there. But now we don't have that many. But
I've caught northern pike on stink bait.
Really?
Once, but I have. And it wasn't that bad a one. It was like a 30-incher too. So
there you go.
But then again, they're animals. They'll eat anything.
He took us fishing on his bass boat. And man, y'all using that stink bait? And that's all I heard all night. And one night I was rebaiting, usually them little treble hooks. I stuck my finger in that tub, got a little bit on the end of my finger.
I don't put my fingers in there, James.
Hey, no. He was fussing.
Oh.
He turned around and I wiped it right underneath the bridge of his nose. He cussed me all night. Go ahead, Ethan. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
What type of rods would you recommend for beginners?
For a beginner, use what you got. I mean, a ugly stick GX2 is going to work. You're going to get, and catfish rods are getting more and more affordable. You know, $70 isn't $80 isn't what it used to be when I first got into catfishing. A GX tool treats you right.
Yes.
Obviously, you know, Uncle Lou's are good priced. You can get that. It all depends on how serious. I'm going to look him in the eye and see, hey, is this guy full of it, or does he mean what he's talking about? Hopefully, it's somebody I know, and I can make that judgment call. But you know, that's such a tricky question. You get people that get so caught up in the gear they're using that they just need to get out and fish. I mean, I love gear, but the less time I spend worrying about it and get that purchase over with, the faster I can get out and fish. So,
yeah, that's the name of the game. Just get out and fish. There's Mr. Dieter Melhorn graced us tonight.
What's going on, Dieter?
What would be one place you would like to fish?
I'm sorry, Ethan.
What would be one place you would like to fish?
Mississippi River, definitely. I was on there once. I'd like to get on there with somebody who's a little more versed and able to help me be prepared, because I was way undergunned for that river, man. I have read so many books, seen so much TV and movies about that river that it's got it has a place in my heart. I mean, it's romantic. It's dangerous. It provides people with work. I've spent 2 trips on a barge when I worked in the oil industry over there for 3 weeks at a time. I didn't get to do any fishing while I was there, but I got to see a good part of it. I'd like to be able to get out there and actually produce good sized fish. I'm not looking for monsters. I'm not a trophy hunter. I like big fish. Don't get me wrong. But if I can figure something out that's what I'm looking to do. And that river is a lot of miles to figure out, man. It's like never ending. But that would be my dream trip, is to get out there again soon, very soon.
When you're pan fishing, what do you mainly go for?
What a bait, to be honest with you. If it's not bait, it's crappie. And a lot of times, okay, here's another little secret. If I have like a bad trip catfishing, right? If I can't get on that flathead bite, like pre or post spawn, waiting on them to either go to sleep or break out of the spawn, right? I'll go pan fishing for bluegills just to remind myself that I know how to fish and I haven't forgot. So I use them for that. They're near and dear to my heart. I have 3 nieces and a nephew that I pretty much took them pan fishing all the time. And I got to spend some really quality time. There's all sorts of deep emotional bond to those little fish, not just bait. So if I'm fishing for crappie, that's a little more of a sport and a table fare fish chasing. So it depends. If I'm looking for bait, I'm looking for green sunfish as far as panfish goes. If I'm not chasing bullheads, if I'm looking, for just to get out and fish, I got a couple spots here that have some stocked ponds that were stocked at one point, some shell crackers, and there's something about a 9-inch shell cracker on a Panther Martin that's really fun to catch on a ultralight trout rod. It's a good time.
Yeah. I still got about 3 of the old, when Quantum used to make good reels.
Mm-hmm.
I got the micro lights that I run 2 and 4 pound line on. And I couldn't tell you how many times I've been fishing for crappie or bluegill and have the line ripped off them cotton picking things. Some old channel cat laying up there next to the crappie beds or bluegill beds. And when it's hard to stop a big old channel cat when you ain't got but 2 pound line.
They'll wreck your line. I use 4 pound test on my crappie stuff on average. I'm making the switch over to some 10 pound braid because I'm going to get into a little more structure fishing and I want to be able to horse them fish out, but that's another story. Hook into like a 2 pound channel cat with 4 pound or less test and it'll wreck the top 20 yards of mono. It'll stretch it out and it's useless afterwards. So that's another reason for wanting to switch over to that other line. But anyways, yeah, that's what I'm using for that.
What size rods do you use?
I like 7.5 footers. That's on average. My 2 older ones for that company that went out of business, they're 8 footers. After talking with Lyle during my master class on my channel, he explained to me that it's shipping, which is why they're 7'6", a lot of them. I don't like 2-piece rods. I'm trying to get used to them with crappie rods if I'm going to be running some 10-foot rods for vertical jigging, but most of my crappie rods are 7'6" now, the casting ones. So I think I got one B&M that's a 10-footer and it's a 2-piecer. And not that I don't trust them, I just think they're a pain in the butt to deal with.
Them old 2-piece rods. I got them old catfish rods when I first got back into it, the catfish systems. I mean, they ain't but $20 rods. I ain't never broke one, but they 2-piece. What did I do when I first got them? I glued them together. Made 1-piece rods out of them.
Now there's an idea. I didn't think about that, but I got a short bed Dodge, so I gotta get them in there sideways. So 8-footers get a little bent up in there, even on the diagonal. So,
do you think you ever come down south to catfish?
I'd love to come down south and catfish. Absolutely. What do you consider south? Me, anything south of Springfield is south. Anything south of Louisville is south to me. Am I thinking
below the Mason-Dixon line?
Yeah. First trip I want to make south then would be with Creole catfishing or down to fish with SK on SK's crappie catching event. SK, I think he's in Texas. Where is he in Texas? There's so many people I know in Texas I want to fish with, but definitely go out there and fish with him.
They need to come down and get on Santee Cooper with y'all, don't they?
That would be cool. I would like that. That would be a good time. Kevin had mentioned that I should come out there and fish. That would definitely be a cool place to get to. I want to get out on there's so many places I want to fish, man. All you do is make me feel all guilty and innocent about working too darn hard.
Mr. David Martin and Avid's in the house with us tonight.
What's up, gentlemen? I want to fish with David Martin and Big Nasty. Yeah. That would be a great outing, I think.
Oh, see, if I go out with them two, I'd have to be just a cameraman because just watching those two would be like watching daggum Abbott and Costello.
There you go.
You come down here, we'll take you fishing the Cooper River.
I'd love that. That would be awesome. Cooper River is another one that I want to fish.
You need to go with them to Monticello.
Oh, Monticello. Man-made
lake. It has no river channel in it. And it's got standing timber and 80 foot of water.
Holy smokes. That's crazy.
And the bluegill bite really good on Monticello.
We're oh my goodness. I forget where. Okay, go on. I was thinking 4-pound shell cracker. My mind went elsewhere. I know there's some big shell cracker on that Cooper, so that definitely would be something I'd like to do.
Yes.
I'm like a dog when he sees a squirrel, man. Somebody mentions a different kind of fish. I'm like, where? I'm all over the place. I can't help myself.
Yeah. Good amount of perch, white perch on Murray.
Cool. I like white. I don't think I've ever seen a white perch.
They kind of look like.
I see him on Dieter's videos all the time, to be honest with you, now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, that's a lot of perch on Norman. David can find them up on Norman and Matthew Anthony, some big, and Junior's got places that he can catch in big old white perch. I've never got into the real big ones, but they're great bait because they're so plentiful, I guess.
See what I get. Yes, because I run out of questions. First, I've used all of them on here.
Yeah. Now, what kind of schooling fish y'all got in your waters, Mark?
Schooling fish?
Schools and big.
That's a good question. I mean, obviously, panfish, crappie will school up. Pike aren't their predators. Muskie are predators. Perch will school up quite a bit. Catfish travel in so-called quote unquote. Right. I've been called pods or wolf packs. Flathead don't.
Right.
Channel cats are so opportunistic. I tend to doubt that they travel purposely in schools. They just hang around each other for comfort reasons. They're both taking advantage of the area for comfort reasons. As soon as you introduce food, you can get them cooked up into a frenzy. Right. I've seen people catch big flatheads on channel cats, so they're sketchy to begin with, especially in our waters.
Right. David Martin's learned a new little trick, been fishing for those hybrids and stuff, and he's using cooked mussels.
That's what I
already cooked, buying them in a bag, and he said he can't keep the channel cats off of them.
Have you ever used shrimp?
I do. I used shrimp just a couple weeks ago when I went perch fishing out in downtown Chicago. I was getting little dink ones, but I was getting them 2 at a time. I like shrimp for perch for the main reason is it's a cold, like when I say cold weather, I'm talking 10-degree days fish. The colder it is, the better or the bigger ones come in. If I don't have to stick my hand in a minnow bucket on a 10-degree day, I'm happy.
Oh yeah,
Happy. And plus, if you get the cooked stuff at Walmart, you can get a jar of cocktail sauce. We do that too. And we'll eat while we're fishing shrimp cocktail. It's a pretty good time, actually.
There you go.
No,
I always found, go ahead.
Do you use shrimp for catfishing?
I have in the past, but not as of late. I'd rather eat the shrimp than use them for catfish. Besides, the couple of spots that I would use them for channel cats, are great channel cat baits. I got to get, because I'm in such an urban area, most of my channel cat fishing, which I do off the bank, I got to get baits. I got to get them 70 yards out. I got to get them into the main channel on a couple of these little tiny reservoirs that I fish. And if you put a piece of shrimp on a hook and with a 3 or a 5 ounce sinker on there and haul it as hard as you can, you're going to be losing a lot of shrimp. So
yeah,
I tend to use those baits with tougher skins for those areas.
I found out that shrimp, I done good with shrimp for channel cats, mainly in the early spring when stuff was spawning. And I don't know if it's the smell, the taste, or what it was. It seemed like that was the better times. And then, we changed over to bigger cut baits and stuff like that for summertime. But it seemed like something about that shrimp and in early spring when the spawns was going on with bass and crappie and bluegill. Well, bluegill's in the summertime, but yeah, it seemed like that bait was the time to use for channel cats. But I haven't used it since blues and stuff.
The only time I use it basically is for shrimp. I mean, not for shrimp, for perch. Right. For yellow perch, I should add. That's right. What I'm talking about. So that or minnow heads, if it's a warm weather and I'm looking to get them, like when I was a younger man, we used to go power line fishing in Lake Michigan, and I don't know, maybe this is something that I'll teach all you old timers and catfish professionals out there in chat. There's something called power line fishing here on Lake Michigan, especially in the city of Chicago. Basically what power line fishing for perch is actually is it's a big weight on, let's say, like on a piece of twine. We're talking like a 1 ounce lead, 2 ounce lead, sometimes 3 ounces is depending on how far you want to get out. And you actually sling it like David and Goliath around your head, and you get it out there. And on the end of that line is a rubber band. And that rubber band's probably about 100 feet long. And connected to the other end of that rubber band is mono with 5 snell hooks on that mono. And basically what you're doing is you're anchoring that lead out as far as you can throw it, and then slowly feeding that 5 line mono out to that anchor weight to get it farther than you can cast and right down along the bottom rather than 1 line or 2 lines. So, and there's power line guys out there that do that for cohos as well, and they use fire extinguishers to launch them weights out. Them boys don't mess around.
Dang right.
$200 rigs all set up. Well, it is what it is. If you want to get on that bite, you have to remember the salmon population here is it's a stocked population. It's not natural salmon; they're landlocked. So right. It's not like you're doing that. You actually have to pay the stocking program to be able to do that, which is why they make allowances for those types of techniques. Heck, they'll even let you snag. There's Lincoln Park Zoo here, and there's a lagoon outside of Lincoln Park where they release salmon, the kings at, right? So in the fall they allow snagging salmon in that lagoon because they just come in there to die regardless, and it stinks up the city and the zoo. So they'll allow that for 2 weeks, I believe it is, every year. Every place you fish, there's different kinds of rules and regulations, so, and different fishing techniques. But those power line ones for perch was always fun. I never did it for cohos, which is a salmon.
Freddie just brought up a good thing. Junior Proctor sitting at 968 subs. Great channel, guys. Let's see if we can't make this guy to 1,000. Let's get Junior up to 1,000. He's pretty daggum close, and he's been a big supporter of all of our channels. So, guys, go on there and sub up to Junior Proctor. Appreciate you, Freddie, for putting up his link out there, buddy, and bringing that up. We're busting after 9 o'clock. Ethan, if you want to keep going, we'll keep going. If not, we'll call it a night.
I just had 2 more questions that I wanted to ask.
Shoot.
You go.
You prefer day fishing or night fishing?
The older I get, the more I hate night fishing, to be honest with you. I'm telling you, something about being up all night and then having to work the next day that I can't handle anymore. I fished, like my most productive flathead year, I was fishing 3 nights a week, at night, all night, most of the night until at least 4 or 5 in the morning. And I was able to work a full day afterwards, but now it's like forget work, I'm going to bed. So now that I've gotten a little better at the daytime bite, also a lot less people during the week. I do work for myself, so I get to get out there. During the week, the river's pretty close to dead, and I'm getting a little better at finding them during the day. We're good. And I'm not a trophy fisherman. I'm dragging baits for channel cats. If I come across a flathead, I'm a happy man. If I'm out for flathead, I'm, like I said, I'm going through all those steps of targeting them over structure and stuff. And if I don't get them in 3 or 4 hours, I fish 8 hours at a crack, because I tell everybody fishing's a lot of work and that involves overtime. So you got to be there out 8 hours or longer, at least as far as I'm concerned. Where was I going with this? Oh, if I don't catch a flathead in like the first 4 hours of the day, I'll switch over to channel cats. I'll start dragging baits. So, we lost.
We lost him.
He had one more question. What'd you do to him, James? Did you do
I
that?
didn't do nothing to him. I didn't do nothing to him.
Come on back in.
Yeah, he'll pop in if he don't. You know.
He had one more question for me.
Yeah, one more question. He's a good guy.
And now that I got, to add to that, now that I got my bimini cover after I fought it for a long time, I don't mind fishing during the day as much as I used to.
The older you get, it's hard to take that sun beating on your head all day.
And I'm a northerner. We don't like the heat. I'd rather have it cold. I can get dressed warmer and turn my heater up.
Yeah, you can shed clothes. It's hard to daggum cool down unless you plan on diving off in the water. But yeah, but Mark, I've enjoyed it. A lot of great information. I know Ethan enjoyed it. He ain't dropping back in. I wonder if something happened to their computer, or
it could be. I appreciate you having me on.
Well, I'm sorry it's been so long, Mark. I've lost touch with who all I've had on. And
that's okay. I was just giving you the business, James. And I want to tell Lyle, you got emojis coming, buddy. Do you see what that Santa Claus guy put down there in chat?
The chat gets to moving and I can't read it all. What did he say?
That's Carolina. That's Coco. That's my 14-year-old bulldog. Love her to death. She's on all my live feeds, always behind me.
Yeah. She's hanging out. Sometimes you can hear her snoring back there, can't you?
No, well, I got a mic that you can't hear. She's actually snoring right now and doing making other bodily noises, which I'm not going to get into on a show, but she does that quite a bit.
Yeah, Junior just sent me a message. His computer shut off.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Well, Junior, you still got me on. Thank you very much for allowing Ethan to interview me. He's a stand-up dude, and I really like to see you guys fishing together. So we're going to do what we can to make sure you guys get to that 1K. If you're not subbed to Junior Proctor, get out there and sub to him. I'm going to share some links out after the fact. Let's see what we can do for him.
Yeah, he teaches a lot of great information to us. He don't mind showing us how to do different things that he does. And if you miss something he's trying to tell you, ask him a question. He don't mind answering it for you, just like Mark, just like Lyle, just like all of us on here. If you got a question, all you got to do is ask, and we don't mind sharing it with you. I'm sorry.
And if you have complaints, direct them to James Dockery at James Dockery Fishing on YouTube.
Well,
the Chadwick guy.
Yeah, Mr. Chadwick in there. I got to give him a holler tomorrow sometime too. But everybody, we do appreciate y'all coming in, and we appreciate you supporting Mark and his channel and everybody else on here. Ethan, if you're still listening through your grandpa's phone or your phone, thank you, son. I'll give y'all a call tomorrow and see how you're doing. And thank you for what you've done for us tonight. We're going to start having some more young guys to come in here and gals to come in here and do some of this with us, Mark. I think it's a good thing because sooner or later we're going to have to turn the mic over to them.
We are not soon enough. Some weeks it doesn't feel like it's soon enough, buddy.
Yeah, I
And I
mean,
love what I'm doing. Freddie had a question. He says, "So how much does Mark spend on lures monthly due to Lyle and Dockery? Way too much.
yeah.
Way too much."
We'll see,
They're
Mark.
trying to
I
talk
don't,
you into
I don't
buying
chase
another.
the Joneses. I've
they're-
never
they're-
been one to chase the Joneses.
oh,
No, I can't say that for sure because bass fishing, when I got back into fishing again, went up there in my building, and I had about 10 daggum tackle boxes, all kind of lures and stuff. And you know what? The hot, cold of over the years of me gold mining and not fishing, I probably throwed away 90% of it because it was ruined.
that's my problem. I can't throw nothing away. Ruined or good. I can't do it.
I had to. I mean, it was no good to me. I mean, I just opened the tackle box and looked at it and just turned it upside down in the trash can and dumped it out. I mean, broke my heart. Thousands of dollars of lures and stuff gone, but rusty hook and paint and peeling junk ain't no good. And rubber worms all stuck together like a wadded
Yeah,
mass.
plastics are bad.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, especially in old plastic. If they touch regular plastic, it's going to be a melted mess. So, but guys, don't forget, April the 16th, the All-American Heroes Catfish Tournament. It's going to be a great time, great fun. Our numbers are coming on up, Mark. I believe we're going to hit that 40 mark. So,
Awesome.
of course, I'm going on like I always do. And guys and gals, YouTube finally paid my tail.
There you go. Good for you.
Finally, after and I can understand what our friend Chad went through. May was the last month that they allowed me to have money. June 1st, my numbers dropped to where they're at now, 40. I had 85 people in May, 40 in June. And it's been like that ever since. They took my money away from me, demonetized my channel. Don't know why. Still don't know why. But I was able to finally get the money that everybody donated. So Camp Centurion.
Well, that's good.
So,
well, I didn't realize that they had demonetized you. I was wondering why you didn't have that link down in your chat box.
Yep. And is it still not there?
I don't see it. That's what I was just looking over at. I got two monitors here, so I'm watching the chat and the other one.
But see, there you go. They give my dad good money, but they won't monetize me again. So I don't know. I don't know what the heck I done, but it is what it is. Thank y'all, everybody.
Real quick, can I plug one thing before we go?
You plug what you want.
My show on Monday night, we're going to go over March Madness. That's the 1-versus-1 bracket tournament that I'm having for a good part, if not the whole month of March. I'm really looking forward to that. We're going to give Creole and Brian B a bye. So that should be interesting, but they're going to have to earn facing each other off again. So we're going to see. If you haven't seen that, I think it's a fun tournament, if I may say so myself, being that each angler gets to make its own rules each time they face one other competitor. So tune in on Monday night after Catfish Weekly, and I'll let you guys know if you want to be put in the randomizer to get selected to fish that. I do offer half the super chats as a payout to the winner. I'm going to see if I can't find a trophy this time. Creo is the champion for the last one. He did a great job. That one was called Survivor. I'm going with March Madness this month, so hopefully we're going to have a good time. And if anybody wants to sponsor, holler at your boy.
Yep. I'll give you a holler, Mark. We'll do what we can do. I know a lot of guys, and I'm going to say this up front. James, myself, I don't have a credit card or nothing like that. So
I hear
that's why a lot of times I don't get to donate through y'all on some of y'all stuff. And if I can't, please contact me. I'd like to at least donate some floats or something to the cause.
That's awesome.
To help out with that. So, guys, don't hold it against me. If I can't donate money straight to you, I have no way of doing that.
No sweat, buddy.
So, and I mean, I feel bad though, Mark, because y'all have helped me out over the years, especially with Camp Centurion. You put them on when y'all do your charity tournaments and stuff like that. I know Chad does, and a couple others put Camp Centurion on there, and that touches my heart. And I really, it's an honor. It's an honor. It's always been an honor. We got more and more shows popping up every day, so I can't keep up with all of them. I don't have the time I used to have to watch all the YouTube things, guys. It ain't that I don't get a PayPal account, James. I didn't even think about that. So you can do that through PayPal for y'all.
I believe so. Yeah, there's got to be a way.
I didn't know that.
You can get a PayPal credit card that works like a credit card, or not a credit card, a debit card that works on your PayPal account. So
I mean, dang. See, I didn't know that. I've got to start one up, especially for my bobbers anyway. So
there you go.
thank y'all. See, I learned something new tonight. You got to keep your ears open, guys. God bless y'all. Oh, Kyrie, the little young man that my daughter's taking care of, he's at home. He's doing good.
Awesome.
It's going to be a long road, but he's doing good. Right now, he's struggling because Ness, my daughter's got COVID, so she's having to stay quarantined away from him. She's asking Mark, her husband, "Where's Ness?" He calls her Sessa. He calls her Sessa, and but that young man, the people, if y'all don't believe in God, that rascal right there will prove you different. A 9mm to the brain at 4 years old.
Stuff right there, man. When I heard it,
live,
broke my heart.
It's a blessing. God bless y'all. God bless America. And we'll see y'all next Wednesday night. Check out who's right after us. I know Pontoon Jody's at 10.
Yeah,
right?
over at LG Bassett channel. Make sure you
LG
check out the doc. I think they're having a DMV Whisker Seekers or DMV Whisker King on there. So check them out.
Yeah. Check them out, guys.
Oh, and SK's Crappie Catch Adventures if you're into that too.
That's back. What I was going to say.
Okay.
Yeah. So good night, guys. Don't run off, Mark.
I won't.
God bless.